2 races to go. I've just had the starting drivers sent through to me from the Britcar press office for race 2 later on for their second trophy race today. Thank you very much, Stephen Wood. We'll bring you those later on, because first of all, it's time to get thunderstruck again. The Edmundson Electrical Classic Thunder Saloons and Burton Power Blue Oval Saloon Series is coming up very shortly. A 15-minute race will bring you the grid for that one then, based on the results of race number 1. Pole position is number 111 Rick Wood, winner of the earlier race in his Holden Commodore, alongside 97 Andy Wilson. Now, despite getting a penalty for a jump start on the rolling start, Andy did retain that second place because he was sufficiently far clear of third place man Jason Hughes, who lines up third in his Vauxhall Vectra. Alongside him will be number 16 Gary Whittaker with the BMW M3. Third row, 144 Rod Burley with his BMW, alongside 77 Steve Putt, back of the grid to 6th in race 1. He'll be one to watch here in the Mazda RX-7. Fourth row, 88 Alex Sidwell, Holden Commodore, 26 Brian Bransom with the orange BMW. I'm still noting down colours for some of these cars. There's so many of them here. It's hard to keep track of them. This is a record-breaking weekend for the Classic Touring Car Racing Club. On the 5th row, 101 Malcolm Harding. He's the first of the Blue Oval Saloon Series cars with his Escort, and alongside him is Paul Wood in his BMW. The 6th row, Jason West, number 76, and Ryan Steele, number 24, in that Pocket Rocket Saxo. Row 7, 121 Colin Voice, and number 96 of Ian Craig. 8th row, 82 Bradley Gelman, and number 3 Ashley Shelswell, pair of Sierras. The 9th row, Paul Eaton, number 50 in the Classic Commodore, and 71 Kevin Denwood with his BMW Compact. On the 10th row of the grid, we have Tony Paxman, number 57 with his Escort, 38 Andy Cripps BMW. Row 11, 62 Tom Abbott and 27 Martin Reynolds in a pair of Fords, Capri and Anglia. 12th row, 22 James Dunkley and 52 Ralph Higson, Fiesta and Escort. Row 13, Colin Claxton with his Escort alongside Malcolm Wise in the Sapphire Cosworth. Then on the 14th row, we have number 77, which is Alan Hersey. 2 number 77, since the confusion on the graphics there. That's the Reliant Scimitar, and number 70 Will Hunt with his Fiesta. The 15th row, number 8 Darren Owen, 53 Neil Argrave. They failed to finish race 1 in their Escorts. Row 16, we will have number 84, which is David Claxton in the Triumph, and 126, which is Alan Breck with the big Capri, 5-litre V8. At the back of the grid, number 58, it's not David Gadd for this race, it's his son, Jack Gadd. They are sharing the family Ford Escort, so Jack has to start at the back because he didn't contest race 1. They are on their way round behind the pace car. Let's hope we get a full grid of 33 cars for this one then. Then we conclude our day, of course, with the Britcar Trophy second race. After this, it's a 50-minute pit stop race with penalties as well for the top 3 in each class from race number 1. Good to see plenty of you still watching on YouTube. We've got about 1,300 viewers on our YouTube stream at the moment. Thanks for all your comments and likes. Do subscribe to the British Automobile Racing Club YouTube channel to follow BARC TV throughout the season. Our next action from Snetterton in Norfolk in 2 weeks' time. We're on their green flag lap, the BMW pace car leading them round. The 2 Holdens at the front. Steve Putt is there. They haven't formed up 2 by 2 yet, so a little tricky to spot grid gaps at the moment. Paul Eaton's there, Kevin Denwood in the background, Tony Paxman, Andy Cripps, Tom Abbott. Rick Wood has dug into his collection and brought out the Holden. It's befitting Thunder Saloons. Doesn't look like Alex Sidwell's there, unfortunately, in one of the Commodores. Alan Hersey's there at the back. Darren Owen with the hot rod style escort, the Duffy Collard replica, just warming his tyres there. Doesn't look like Neil Hargraves there, Blue Oval Saloon star in his escort. Had problems in race 1. Oh, Alex Sidwell is there. There's the Holden. Don't know how I missed that. It's a big enough car. Martin Reynolds with the Anglia. James Dunkley with his lovely Fiesta Mark II, XR2i. David Claxton's repaired after an off in race 1. And there's Alan Breck at the back in that monster Capri with the Jägermeister livery. It's popular, isn't it, here today? Paul Eaton with the classic Commodore, or as he's known today, Peter Brock. Mr. Bathurst. Peter Brock was 9 times the winner of Australia's great race, the Bathurst 1000. Almost ready to rumble them. They're forming up 2 by 2 now down the Hanger Straights. Ready for this enormous amount of power to be unleashed. This will be a 15-minute race. We wish it was a bit longer to see these awesome cars in action. As you may have gathered, this series, the Edmundson Electrical Classic Thunder and the Burton Power Blue Oval Saloons, are personal favourites of mine. Keep an eye on Rod Burley, one of Britain's most successful club-level racers. He and Jerry Marshall with the highest totals of wins. Just keeping it steady there. We've got just about all of them out there. Don't think there's any gaps on the grid. Now the revs begin to rise. Pace car into the pit lane. The 2 Holdens of Andy Wilson and Rick Wood lead them round. Wood on the inside, the Monaro of Wilson on the outside, Jason Hughes and the BTCC Vectra behind them. Gary Whittaker in the E30 BMW. The red lights are on. They'll roll up towards the lights when they go out. We will be underway. Waiting for the lights to go out. Lights are still red, now they go out. Let's get ready to rumble with Classic Thunder and Blue Oval Saloons. They're away down towards Abbey for the first time, and it is Rick Wood who has edged Andy Wilson into the first corner this time. Will they all make it round? Let's hope so. A bit of dust being kicked up on the outside following that frantic race for the TCRs and VWs. Rick Wood leads from Andy Wilson, side by side for third between Whittaker and Hughes. The Super Touring Vectra just hangs on in front. They've all made it through okay so far. Rick Wood looking for his double. Andy Wilson has a look down the outside, over the grass there. On the inside goes Gary Whittaker, a bit of corner cutting. Ashley Shelswell running wide in the Sierra. This dancing field of cars comes through Beckett's down the Hanger Straight. The power of the Holdens taking them clear of the Vauxhall. And look at Steve Putt. We said that RX-7 will be one to watch. The blue and black car up into fourth ahead of Whittaker, Burley, Alex Sidwell and the rest of them. Breck trying to come through from the back in the Jägermeister Capri. There's James Dunkley, that lovely XR2 sideways through the Stowe corner. They start to sort themselves out at the end of the first lap. It is Rick Wood who has got the lead ahead of Andy Wilson by a scant margin. Then it's Hughes third, Putz fourth, Whittaker fifth. Rod Burley is sixth. Seventh we've got Alex Sidwell's Commodore. Jason West is up into 8th place in his BMW. He is chasing after Alex Sidwell in the Commodore. That big BMW nearly the size of the Commodore with those wings on, isn't it? He's up the inside here into the complex and will take 7th place away. Behind them is Colin Voice's Escort. The leading Blue Oval Saloon car is Ashley Shelswell. We seem to have lost Malcolm Harding somewhere on that first lap. I think he was on the grid, so we've lost our Blue Oval winner from race 1. Bounce over the curb at Beckett's. The 2 Holdens going clear at the front. James Dunkley dives past Tom Abbott in the blue Capri. Rod Burley shadowing Gary Whittaker. Jason West again attacks Alex Sidwell. Yes, we've lost Malcolm Harding, unfortunately. There's that little Saxo of Ryan Steele, showing no mercy to the bigger cars here, chasing Bradley Gelman's Cosworth there. It's Rick Wood beginning to pull away slightly from Andy Wilson. Now then the battle of the Holdens up front. Jason Hughes, aka Jason Plato, in third place. Which for Steve Putt, he's got his headlights on, and that's extraordinary looking Mazda RX-7. Looks like something out of the Fast and the Furious films or the UK Time Attack series, doesn't it, that car? Real wild machine is Steve's Mazda. Fast but fragile, as we saw in qualifying. It's come through from the back. Andy Wilson monsters up onto the back of Rick Wood, the two northern-based drivers. Through Beckett's, Hughes in third. There's Tony Paxman with the Escorts. He could be a contender in his class again in Blue Oval Saloons. Gary Whittaker again doing a bit of grass tracking there. He's determined to keep pace with the leaders here. Then a gap back to Rod Burley. Jason West is next in the 76. Alex Sidwell trying to monster him again in the Commodore. The power of the Aussie V8 tells you goes straight past him. On the brakes, the BMW is stronger. Then we've got Colin Boyce in the Castrol Escort, Bradley Gelman, Brian Bransom's orange BMW. Then the rest of them come through. The next car through is Paul Wood, Wood's BMW there, number 66, the other black and orange car. I keep getting him mixed up with Jason West, identically liveried cars. There go the leaders, separated by 0.6 of a second up the line. They're about 3 seconds clear of Jason Hughes now in the Vectra. I said it's a real shame. This is only a 15-minute thrash for these cars. Gap between Whittaker and Burley now starting to open up. The two BMWs of differing ages. There's that extraordinary Mazda RX-7 spitting flames in Gary Whittaker's face, probably. There's 71, that's Kevin Denwood in the BMW Compact, chasing Tony Paxman. They're battling further down the order, fighting for 17th place. The Blue Oval Saloons leader is Ashley Shelswell down in 15th. Oh, problems there, Alan Hersey, the wide arched Reliance Scimitar pulling over. So he's out of the race with mechanical issues. Jason Hughes dives his way through Vale. Super Touring era cars of the 1990s and early 2000s still have an immense following. Steve Putt giving chase in that rotary engine Mazda RX-7. It is an incredible looking car. Let's look at the aero on it. Chased by Gary Whittaker in the classic shape of the E30 M3. Rod Burley is next in his BMW. You normally see him in his Ford Escort WRC, which he's taken so many wins with over the years, but opting for the BMW this time. Leader's getting a little more strung out now. Let's have a look at some of the class leaders of George Putt and Whittaker. Well, Classic Thunder A is being led by Rick Wood, Class B by Gary Whittaker, and Class C is being led by Jason Hughes. In the historic classes further back, H3 is Colin Boyce. H1 is led by Paul Eaton in the Holden Commodore. The only runner in Class H2 is out. That was Alan Hersey's Reliance Scimitar. What about in Blue Oval Saloon? Let's have a look further back. And the safety car is coming out. I suspect that's because of Alan Hersey's stranded car. It's in a dangerous position there on the outside of Stowe Corner. So the safety car is being brought out to allow the marshals safe passage to move it. Yes, Alan Hersey's still in the car. It's not safe for him to get out. So the officials opting to bring out the safety car. Gives us a chance to catch up on the Blue Oval Saloons leaders. Ashley Shelswell leading them outright, and he leads Class S for the slick-tyred cars. Class A, well, there's only one entrant in Class A, and that's Alan Breck in the Capri. Yes, he's still going. Class B for Blue Oval is led by Martin Reynolds in his Ford Anglia. As Rosie the Reliant, it said on the bumper there, is pushed away. Alan Hersey, the Londoner. As Martin Reynolds leads Blue Oval Saloons Class B. Class C is being led by Tony Paxman, and he's second overall in the Escort in their division. Class C is Will Hunt. Class D rather is Will Hunt. There's his blue Fiesta ST, the only entrant in Class D. Class F, it should be the 22 of James Dunkley. Yes, the Fiesta, because the other Fiesta of Anton Martin, number 6, unfortunately didn't get past qualifying. Safety car will be coming in this time. Marshall's just given a chance to get that Reliance Scimitar pushed out of the way. Rick Wood controls the pace. Power comes back on. Just listen to this. It's nice to take a few seconds pause there and listen to the incredible sound of these beautiful cars. That's given Steve Putt the chance to catch up. He's caught up to the back of Jason Hughes. Also given Andy Wilson a chance to perhaps have a go at Rick Wood. He's less than a length behind now. Gary Whittaker, they're in 5th. They pulled away again from Rod Burley in the E36 M3. Jason West, Alex Sidwell, Brian Branson, Bradley Gelman rounding out the top 10. He's ahead of Paul Wood in the black and orange BMW. Three retirements so far. David Claxton and Malcolm Harding we lost on the first lap. Jason West still continues his battle. Germany versus Australia, BMW versus Holden with Alex Sidwell. He's had a couple of Commodores over the years, has Alex. As I said during race 1, it's not until you stand next to an Aussie supercar you realise just how huge they are. Rick Wood continues to lead. He's won in Capris, Super Touring cars. Mentioned the Skyline he's been racing recently, the R32 Calsonic Skyline. Gran Turismo players will know that car well. Here comes Andy Wilson. In the Cummins, Valvoline, Holden, Monaro. Jason Hughes still holding on in 3rd place. Ex-BTCC racer, raced the Kart World Racing MG ZS in BTCC in period. Steve Putt in 4th in the Mazda. Then we've got Gary Whittaker who's dropped back a little bit. We've got 5.5 minutes of the race to go. Beautiful Works BMW livery on the G-Sport BMW of Gary Whittaker. Won many titles in his E36 M3 over the years and has taken a year or two out to build that beautiful E30 M3. Andy Wilson's not finished yet. He's staying in the slipstream of Rick Wood. The main battle at the moment as they head through towards Village. A couple of Fords ahead of them. Alan Breck, who's had a tough day with the Capri, and Malcolm Wise with the Sapphire. Here's Tony Paxman still battling with Kevin Denwood in the BMW Compact. The Mark 1 Escort goes wide. Andy Cripps up behind them in his BMW. Tony Paxman locks up going into the Vale there. Let's hope he doesn't slide straight on into the gravel. No, he's okay, he's got away with it. There is the Escort, Tony Paxman. Racing various cars on Overland Circuit for many years now. Someone's thrown a bumper away on the exit of Beckett's. There's Brian Branson being closed down by Paul Wood. His BMW, that's the battle for 9th. Wood's got ahead of Bradley Gelman in the Sierra Cosworth. Paxman continues his side-by-side fight with Kevin Denwood. Here comes Jason Hughes lapping Malcolm Wise. Looks like his exhaust pipe's hanging off under the car there. Not the best day for Malcolm. He spun in race 1 on the first corner and ended up at the back. And now the Ford veteran dragging his exhaust pipe along with him. May get the black and orange flag for that if the officials notice. Have to call into the pits. There goes Hughes. Here come the Holdens. Well, a great shame that we didn't see the Ford Falcon get to take on the Holden Commodores. Andy Robinson, the reigning Classic Thunder champion with his Craig Lowndes liveried Ford Falcon, sadly broke down in qualifying. As we said, these big Thunder cars can be fast but fragile. And the man from Tyneside didn't get past qualifying. He's actually got 2 of those Ford Falcons. He's got a Shell Helix liveried one as well, the Dick Johnson, John Bowe livery. Rick Wood has pulled away a little bit on that last lap. James Dunkley just waving them through there in his Fiesta. Just under a second between them. They've been nose to tail all race long. 2.5 minutes to go. Interrupted by that very brief safety car period. Just one lap to get Alan Hersey's car off the circuit. Jason West has taken 6th place, further back from Rod Burley. He's having a quiet day in his BMW. Who does that bumper belong to? It's been there for a few laps now. Haven't seen a car with a missing bumper. And still these two are at it. Tony Paxman and Kevin Denwood side by side. Mark 1 Escorts versus BMW E46 Compact. There's a midfield battle. There's Colin Claxton in the ex-Martin Reynolds Escorts. Didn't get very far, sadly, with his Triumph Dolomite yesterday in the pre-83s. And here's a Ford battle. Tom Abbott in the blue Capri, in the Labatt-style livery, made famous in British touring cars by Tim Harvey and others. And he's got Darren Owen, Deadly Daz, on his tail. Picked up the nickname when he was a banger racer for many years at his local track of Hensford Hills Raceway. Later moved into hot rods and then onto the circuits. Done a bit of rallycross as well in the Duffy Collard replica Mark II Escort. It's being lapped by Jason Hughes there. Failed to finish race 1. Good to see Darren Owen still going, the scrap metal businessman from Staffordshire. There's James Dunkley, the ex-MG midget racer. And there is Malcolm Wise. It's him who's lost the bumper and the exhaust. So that's whose bumper is at Beckett's. I hadn't seen the car from the back there. He must have been hit at some point. And he's likely to be flagged in because that exhaust is trailing behind the car. He'll probably get the black and orange flag. 30 seconds of the race to go, so they're coming round to start their final lap this time. Rick Wood has now pulled away from Andy Wilson. Paxman's dropped back from Denwood as well, those two. Been battling all race long. In fact, the gap has gone out considerably. Last lap for Wilson was a 1:13, Wood a 1:09. The early pace was 1:08. Alan Breck pulling over in the V8 Capri. Yes, Wilson has dropped away considerably. There he is. So Rick Wood is heading for a double. One of the gurus of saloon car racing in the UK. Appeared on various car restoration programmes with his classic Capris, among others, as well. Man behind CNC heads as Tony Paxman collects Malcolm Wise's bumper. Here comes the Red Rooster, Toll Holden. Garth Tander is the name on the window, but it is Rick Wood from Cheshire behind the wheel. He's coming up to lap the car's predecessor. Look at this, the Peter Brock Holden of Paul Eaton. This would be fitting if they cross the line together. 2 generations of Works Holden Commodore together. Look at this, a formation finish almost. Isn't that brilliant? Aussie cars old and new, and it's Rick Wood who takes his double. Well done, Rick Wood, well clear. Waiting for Andy Wilson to come home in second. There he is. Nearly 9 seconds down in the end. And Jason Hughes in the Vectra takes 3rd place. Great day for him in the Super Touring car. Jason West coming through for 4th. And Gary Whittaker dropping to 5th, ahead of Rod Burley. The RX-7 of Steve Putt is 7th. Alex Sidwell's Commodore is 8th. It'll be Paul Wood in 9th. And Bradley Gelman rounds out the top 10. There can't have been many races in UK national racing history where 3 Holdens have finished in the top 10. And another one on the grid as well. Look at that. There's your formation finish. Holden Commodores, Works Holden Commodores, old and new. That is quite fitting. Well done, Rick Wood. Well done, Paul Eaton. He wins his class. We should have seen another Holden on the grid, of course. Craig Owen, number 123, father of AJ Owen, who we saw earlier on take the 2 wins in his Honda. Unfortunately, that car broke its transmission in testing, so that's why Craig wasn't able to race. Hopefully see him out later in the season. Let's have a look at the results then. Rick Wood, the winner, by nearly 9 seconds ahead of Andy Wilson. Jason Hughes wins his class in 3rd place, as does Jason West. Good run from him in 4th. A late rally through from 7th to 4th. Gary Whittaker takes 5th and lost the class win as well towards the end. Rod Burley taking the 6th place. And Steve Putt it was in 7th in the Mazda. 8th going to Alex Sidwell ahead of Paul Wood, no relation to Rick, and Bradley Gelman in 10th. Brian Bransom 11th ahead of Colin Voice. Ian Craig, Ross's father, taking 13th ahead of Ryan Steele in the Saxo, and Ashley Shelswell wins the Blue Oval Saloon Series in 15th place overall. 16th going to Paul Eaton, a lap down ahead of Kevin Denwood in 17th. He won his battle with Tony Paxman, who went on all race long. There was Andy Cripps and Martin Reynolds completing the top 20. Tom Abbott beat Daz Owen home. Then James Dunkley, a class winner behind them. Jack Gadd from the back of the grid ahead of Colin Claxton in the Escorts. Then Will Hunt. Malcolm Wise did get his battered Sierra Cosworth home. Alan Breck we lost late on. Alan Hersey and Malcolm Harding also retirements, as was David Claxton at the beginning of the race.